Good evening, I'm Padmasha Joshi and you're watching In Your Interest. The Special Intensive Revision or SIR has now become the issue over which the entire opposition has united again against the centre and this time also against the Election Commission. A process which was basically aimed at weeding out ineligible voters and ensured the inclusion of eligible ones has now reached the Supreme Court as well. A batch of petitions have been filed before the Supreme Court challenging the maintainability of this process. While the court refused an interim stay today, it has scheduled an urgent hearing on the same for the 10th of this month, which means just the end of this week. But while everyone waits for the court to give its final word on the issue, the politics shows no signs of abating. A day before the court hearing, all Mahagathbandhan parties have announced a chakka jam in Patna in protest. Why in Patna? Because Bihar is going to be the first state to go to polls after this revision. The apprehension within the Mahagathbandhan is that this has been done in order to ensure that the opposition is at a disadvantage. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi is also scheduled to fly down to Bihar to participate in this demonstration. The intention is twofold. One, to show that the opposition is united on the issue, and two, send out the message that irrespective of what the court says, the opposition is steadfast in standing against what they have deemed an arbitrary, hurried and devious plot to disenfranchise voters, especially those who are anti-BJP. Separately, AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi, who has called this voter revision an NRC by a different name, also met with officials of the Election Commission today. He asked for an extension in the time period that has been specified to conduct the entire exercise.
आप इतने कम टाइम में एक्सरसाइज कैसे कर पाएंगे? बहुत टाइम कम है। हरियाणा में हो, पंजाब में हो, हैदराबाद में हो, उनके लिए बड़ी दिक्कत पेश आएगी और अगर नाम उनका नहीं आएगा तो फिर उनको वोट डालने का इख्तियार नहीं मिलेगा। अब जिसका नाम नहीं आएगा वो तो अपना वोट भी खो देगा, उसकी लाइवलीहुड का भी उसको एक नुकसान हो जाएगा।
और जो विज्ञापन, फेसबुक पोस्ट और आधिकारिक आदेशों में आप देखिएगा विरोधाभास पर स्पष्टीकरण की मांग, बिहार के लाखों मतदाताओं के अधिकारों और लोकतांत्रिक प्रक्रिया की पवित्रता को ध्यान में रखते हुए भारत निर्वाचन आयोग द्वारा जारी विज्ञापनों और फेसबुक पोस्ट में पाए गए गंभीर विरोधाभासों पर गहरी चिंता हम व्यक्त करते हैं। हमारा अलायंस जो है, गहरी चिंता हम सब लोग व्यक्त करते हैं।
ये तो सरकार, मोदी सरकार सबको बर्बाद करने वाली है। वोटर लिस्ट में घपला शुरू, महाराष्ट्र में घपला हुआ, जो हमारे राहुल गांधी जी ने आपके सामने कहा 75 लाख वोट बढ़ाए, कैसा बढ़ता है? आज बिहार में चुनाव लड़ रहा है, वहां 2 करोड़ वोट काट रहे हैं। अगर काट के तुम लोग इलेक्शन करना चाहते हैं, एक वक्त ऐसा आएगा तुम पछताओगे। जो काम आज गलत कर रहे हो उसका पछताना होगा आपको।
Now, while the BJP has so far defended this revision, saying that this was done on the demand of all political parties, including those in the opposition, there are several concerns that do remain. For one, what happens to people who work outside the state? What if they cannot produce the documents, the 11 specific documents that have been asked for? Why is Aadhaar card not among the 11 documents that the Election Commission has allowed as proof of identity? And more importantly, given that these elections themselves are due in October, November this year, won't mistakes creep in such a hastily conducted process? Now, though, that the whole matter is before the Supreme Court, the ruling party has reconciled to a legal verdict. They're saying we'll wait for what the court says, but then they are asking, why is the opposition holding a chakka jam in Bihar when the court will anyway adjudicate on all of their concerns?
चुनाव से पहले वोटर वेरिफिकेशन होता ही है, ये प्रक्रिया है, लेकिन मनोज झा या महुआ मित्रा सुप्रीम कोर्ट गए हैं, इससे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? क्या वोटर वेरिफिकेशन नहीं होना चाहिए? चुनाव से पहले कौन वैलिड वोटर है, जो वोटर, कई लोग होते हैं जिनका देहांत हो जाता है, कई लोग हैं जो कई जगह के वोटर होते हैं, एक जगह नाम रखते हैं, दूसरी जगह कटवाते हैं। तो अगर वोटर वेरिफिकेशन होगा तो ये अच्छा है, क्योंकि जो वैलिड वोटर हैं वो सब रहेंगे और बिहार के जो वोटर हैं उनके अंदर कोई भ्रम नहीं है। लेकिन राजद के लोग, कांग्रेस के लोग ये भ्रम पैदा कर रहे हैं, खासकर मुसलमानों को डरा रहे हैं कि आपका वोट काट दिया जाएगा। इस तरह की कोई बात नहीं है, किसी को भी डरने की जरूरत नहीं है। वोटर वेरिफिकेशन होगा, जो वैलिड वोटर होंगे वो वोट डालेंगे।
इसको राजनीतिक विषय मत बनाइए। ये एक सैनिटाइजेशन का एक ऐसा प्रोसेस है जिसकी प्रक्रिया का पालन करना समय समय पर पालन होता भी रहा है और करना जरूरी भी है। आपको इस बात को सुनिश्चित करना है कि जो सही आपके वोटर हैं, सिर्फ उन लोगों को मतदान का अधिकार मिले। कई बार देखा गया है जिनका निधन हुए, दशकों बीत गए, उनके नाम पे भी पर्चियां कट रही हैं। कई बार देखा जाता है कि जो स्थानीय नहीं है उनके नाम पर भी, उनका नाम भी वोटर लिस्ट में है। तो ऐसे में एक ऐसी प्रक्रिया और जिसको जितना सरल हो सके बनाने का प्रयास किया गया।
अभी बिहार में शांति की जरूरत है और बाकी तो चुनाव आ रहा है, चुनाव में सब दूध का दूध, पानी का पानी हो जाएगा।
And that brings us to the big questions. Why the protest before a court verdict is anyway expected? Is this more about drumming this up as an election issue than actual concern about the rights of people to vote? Is this revision going to lead to the erasure of votes of the poor and marginalized? And is the process and timing of the intensive revision suspect? Or is there an effort to portray it that way? Manish Barrier, spokesperson of the BJP, is joining us along with RJD's Professor Anwar Pasha. We also have Dr. Muhammad Amin, former Joint Director in the Election Commission of India. I will start by asking you, Mr. Manish Barrier, there is a concern. In Bihar, a large population of people work outside of the state. You suddenly announced this in the month of June and you gave them a month to produce their documents. The opposition parties and a section of people are asking, are you just trying to kick us out of the voters list?
Good evening, Padmada ji, and good evening to all your viewers and everyone. See, this entire khallabolo over this SIR is unfounded. This is being done by Election Commission. It's an independent constitutional body and it does it in many states. And this is not the first time it is happening. This has been happening for over a period of time, and regularly Election Commission keeps doing this. Now, is it not a fact that, for example, I can tell you that my 97-year-old, my grandfather passed away. His name is still in the electoral, list. And we find sometimes very funnily 105-year, 110-year-old people. We also find one voter actually voting in 3 different states because there are 3 different houses. Now, you can look at it everything in a negative way, or you can look at it in a positive way by saying that, okay, there's some kind of sanitization of voters are happening, and to maintain the sanctity of the entire electoral process, it is important that everyone who is there in the electoral race should be genuine voters. And I think it is the right of the, in any democracy, it is as important that you should have the right kind of voters out there.
Fair enough, and you're absolutely right in saying you need to have a sanitized list. So Dr. Muhammad Amin, I want to ask you a common sense question that a lot of people have on their minds. If it is so essential to do this intensive revision, why was it done in the last 20 years? It was last done in 2003, now it's being done in 2025. Why wasn't it done in the interim?
Padmaja ji, if you can see, the opposition is demanding so many times, and time to time they are demanding, like Haryana election we have, in Delhi election we have, in Maharashtra election even, they have gone against the election commission to hearing in the High Court of Maharashtra. So Maharashtra High Court has already given the verdict against them, and they try to fine on them, but they left them, the Congress persons. But you see, this is the regular process. Time to time we are doing by the Election Commission of India, and every election before 6 months you can find, for parliament elections and assembly elections we are having the revision of the voter list. This is the regular process. And you see, why I don't know why they have hue and cry. You see, just example of the EVM machine. EVM machine was started as a pilot project in the Kerala. This is the history, and actually the Election Commission history. So they have started So this time this is also started recently coming the Bihar elections, and these state means two states you can find, the Bihar and West Bengal. Both are coming neighboring states, the international borders like Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. So we are very careful about that. The opposition is always having the question about the election commission.
But Dr. Mohammed Amin, you said that these two states have something in common, that they are close to the border. They will argue they have another thing in common, that the BJP is not in power there, or at least now it is in power in Bihar, but it is not in power in Bengal. And in Bihar, they find themselves on very shaky ground, so they are trying to remove the Congress voters or the RJD voters.
No. Never. Election commission is not doing any favor to anyone. This is a constitutional body. You know, we are not favoring anyone. If they are not working for the public, so public can not electing them. That's why they have the blame on the election commission like empire. Empire is not honest. So this is the problem of the opposition parties, and everything is done by the election commission with the confidence of the all stakeholders.
Okay, so let's open this up. Professor Anwar Pasha, again and again, the election commission is saying we are doing it after taking everyone into confidence. It's just that you are hiding this from the public in general.
Yeah, they are having the meeting with that.
Padmaja ji, it is a fact that electoral rolls are revised before the elections. It is a normal procedure.
Yeah.
It was revised before the parliamentary election, revised before the state election. It is a normal procedure to do it. But one thing you must keep in mind, that our main objection is that this is not a normal revision. This is a special intensive revision. It means the entire voter list which was existing till now has been discarded. It is rejected. It is declared null and void. A new electoral list is being prepared. A new electoral roll is being prepared. Each and every citizen of Bihar will have to fill a form. Earlier it was not. Earlier it was that names were deleted, and the names who attained the age of 18 years, their names were added. This was a normal procedure. This time each and every citizen of Bihar is being given a form to fill it and give some documents to prove their citizenship. They have to prove their citizenship. First time it is happening that they are being asked the proof for the citizenship. That's why it is a part of NRC also. People are saying this. And our main objection is that we are not opposed to revision. We never opposed revision before this. Before this election, we never opposed any revision. Why? It was a normal procedure. This time it is a special revision. And this is being done in a haste. Third thing.
How is it? Okay, so just on the specific issue, sir, when you say it is being done in haste, how? We're in the month of July. It was notified in June. So you had July, August, September. And today, by the way, in the Supreme Court, one of the petitioners brought up the same argument, saying it is hasty. It is going to be done in a haphazard fashion. You know what one of the judges said? They said election dates haven't even been announced. So how are you talking about the time frame or talking about it being hasty? The judge observed this today in the Supreme Court.
Padmaja ji, everybody knows when the election will take place. There is a tenure for the election. Everybody knows. It is just a matter of formality that election date will be announced. We all know when the election is going to take place. And this revision, the documents they are asking, that is also very objectionable. Till now, Aadhaar card, driving license, and electoral voter ID card. Earlier, even election commission is saying that the voter ID card issued by them is not valid. Aadhaar is not valid. Aadhaar is valid for everything. But for this process, for this procedure, this is not valid. Ration card is not valid. Driving license is not valid. They are asking for passport. They are asking for date of birth, the certificate of date of birth.
But hasn't the election commission just said that this list is indicative? And for now, they have extended the dates also for you being able to submit your documents. They're saying first you fill in the form, then you submit the document when you have time. If that is what you're saying, that we don't have these documents.
That's why we are asking. All these things are being taken, these steps are being taken after the pressure
Okay.
After the opposition raised all these questions.
Okay, so two questions arise over here. One on the very specific issue of how... I also want to go to Ashpreet Khadial, but very quickly, Dr. Amin, if you can answer this technical point, how was this list of documents decided? Why 11 of these documents and not a job card, not an Aadhaar card? Why has that been left out?
See, Aadhaar card is, if you can go on the Aadhaar card, actually they need a clear-cut face nowadays. Like 5 years back, what were they have to face, and this face is now real picture we needed, like a passport. And if they get the driving license, they submit the papers, and they get the passport, they can submit the papers, and they are paying also. But in case of the election commission voter I card, they are not paying anything, but we are asking for the documents. If they have the documents, it's okay. Otherwise, the Aadhaar card is also based on that. Means their name, father name, new face, and their residence proof. Everything is available in the Aadhaar card. So they can give the same paper to the BLO. What is the problem? If BLO has the Padruja any problem, they can ask to the AERO. If AERO has any problem, they can do the district election officer. Why don't know? I don't know why they have the problem in submission of the paper. If we can announce a scheme, we are giving the money to the Bihar people. Immediately they will come out with all the papers.
Yeah.
But this time, who and cry, we are making proper data for the election commission and giving the voter ID card free of cost. What is that?
Okay, so let me simplify this further. Ashpreet Khadial, because I have heard this again and again over all different platforms and debates, everyone is saying, why isn't there an Aadhaar card? So you're basically saying that everyone has an Aadhaar card, right? And they should be allowed to produce Aadhaar card. So if they have an Aadhaar card, they will also have a birth certificate, because you can't get an Aadhaar card without having a birth certificate, right?
Correct.
And the birth certificate is in the list of 11 documents. So if you already got your Aadhaar card made, means you already have your birth certificate. Give the birth certificate and get on the electoral roll.
Thank you, Padmaja, for the question.
Thank you.
This is not just the only question. There are a lot of questions involved. The people of Bihar are first of all questioning the timing of this. In the last 10 years, in the last 12 years, this was not done. This was
20
done
years actually.
Around, of course. I just chose to, speak 10 years. Of course, it was last done in 2003. Everybody knows that. Now, the fact of the matter is, Padmaja, that why did it have to be done just around the corner? Number one, it was initiated on the 24th of June. And the Bharatiya Janata, I beg your pardon, the Bharatiya Janata Party will have to note down the questions and get the answers to these questions. Why did the EC then decide to have a deadline of 25th of July? Why a very short timeline has been given? That's question number one. Number two, the timeline, which is just around the election, when the Bharatiya Janata Party knows it for a fact and their ally knows it for a fact that they are going to be facing a massive defeat. Number three, what about the not so literate? The forms are really complex. The procedure is really complex. And what of the people? The people who are not so literate? What of the women? What of the underprivileged? Has any provision?
But you're saying the not so literate were literate enough to get an Aadhaar card made for themselves. That is my question. If they could get an Aadhaar card made for themselves, they clearly will have a birth certificate. I mean, the most basic document, and you being a lawyer know that better than any of us, you will have a birth certificate. If you are born on this planet, you will have a birth certificate. If you are literate enough, enabled enough to get an Aadhaar card made, then you will definitely have a birth certificate. And that is among the 11 documents.
Answering a question, number one, for the Aadhaar card, there was no tight deadline. There was no it wasn't that there was only a month allowed for that. There was, the people could go.
But a month is not allowed. Right now, you're being given an extension. Right now, you're being given an extension already to submit your documents. This, the EC has said already. You submit your forms right now. And are we also being, speculative and very speculative? Because look at the data that we have here. It's been 2 weeks and already 21% of the submissions have already happened in 2 weeks.
Now now what we need to understand is, Padmaja, what of the lakhs of people? Now, if the Bharatiya Janata Party wants to come forward, they should tell us, one, why this timing? Number two, why a short timeline?
Okay.
Number 3, what are the complex forms and the procedures? Number 4, you said anyone who takes birth gets a birth certificate. That's not true. There are many places where people are born but they do not get a birth certificate. There are people who are not literate enough to get that done. There are people the authorities, there are many people who are not doing their job.
But for them, there are 10 other documents. On the other hand, why I came to the birth certificate is because two documents which are being questioned again and again is Aadhaar and job card.
My question to the Bharatiya Janata Party is it easy or not to get an Aadhaar card made? If the Bharatiya Janata Party would say it's very easy, then you cannot compare apples to oranges. Aadhaar card is an easy thing to get done. And this thing that we are talking about is not as easy, because the Bharatiya Janata Party would also agree to it. And number 2, Padmaja, why could there not be a bigger timeline is the question.
Okay.
And the Bandh that is being observed on the 9th of July, that is being led by Rahul Gandhi ji, is because the people are objecting to it. How will the Bharatiya Janata Party help the underprivileged? They say we want to talk about the people who are standing at the last of the line. What of them now? Would you not want to help them? Would you not want to do anything for them? There is no provision, there is no possibility of help for them. And the fact of the matter is, Padmaja, the timing of it, why did it have to be done now only? If it was so important, if there was some concerns, lapses, loopholes, lacunas, they could have been done 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. But why now? Because the Bharatiya Janata Party knows
because 10 years ago also you would be having the same elections. 10 years ago at this time of the year, you would still be having elections in Bihar, or not in Bihar, in Bengal, or in Punjab, or in Tamil Nadu, or in Karnataka. 10 years ago, you look for any time in the calendar, 3 months ahead or 3 months later, there will be elections happening, no?
People can connect the dots really well. The dots are very clearly visible. They are very categorical. People are able to connect it. They can see the 2 birds that are being tried, that are being killed by one stone. Now, the question here is, I want to ask this question. It's really important. One question. Why was the advertisement on voter list revision withdrawn? We want to ask this. When the criticism started against that, why was it withdrawn if it was so right, if there was nothing wrong with it? Why did it have to be withdrawn?
Okay, now that is a very important and valid question. Answer this, Mr. Barrier. What happened was, you had the State Election Commission, it put out front page advertisements and they said, listen, you don't need to submit any documents. Then there was suddenly confusion and people said, okay, do we not have to give documents anymore? Then the EC had to come in and issue a clarification where basically they said, the EC's June 24 order said, only those whose forms were received by July 25 would make it to the draft rolls. The guidelines with the order said the voters have to submit documents also. Now the Election Commission has clarified that EROs can obtain papers from voters whose names appear in the draft rolls. Why is there so much of ad hocism? The valid point is, could you have been clearer with your instructions, or rather could the Election Commission have been clearer with its instructions?
Padmaja ji, first thing I would like to say that, it's a very defeatist mindset which the opposition has, and that's why maybe they are losing elections after elections. Imagine a political party who keeps complaining about voter rolls, keeps complaining about the electronic machines, EVMs. They don't have any vision. I've never seen they coming up with a vision for Bihar that this is what I'm going to really, or we are going to do it. So I call them crybaby. For everything. Had it not these been electoral rolls, they would have cried for something else. And that is what exactly is happening. I think the question which you specifically asked is in the domain of Election Commission of India. We do not hold brief for them. And I don't think it is my job to really comment about what Election Commission of India does. Whatever it does, the results are there for opposition and it is there for Bharatiya Janata Party also.
No, but when you're defending it, let me ask Dr. Amin. Dr. Amin, is there confusion? The fact that initial 11 documents, then it was said these 11 documents are only indicative, it is not an exhaustive list. The fact that there is confusion now about when you have to submit your documents, do they all have to be given together, or can you fill in the form and then give the documents later? People get very scared, and especially people who are not very tech savvy, not very educated, they get scared.
Padmaja ji, it's very clear that Election Commission want the updated, very good in shape of the voter ID cards. Like their faces must be clear, so latest photograph is needed. Their latest phone number is also needed by mobile number. Any communication from the commission side, they can get directly in their mobile with the app. And second thing, you see, they need their name, their father name, and their mother name. Everything is available, and if they can have the Aadhaar card, so might be they have submitted for the birth certificate also, the birthplace. So these are the important things. Otherwise, unnecessary, they are having the problem. Our Deputy Election Commissioner, Mr. Manish Garg, is already deputed for Bihar, and he is in charge. And there is a CEO, Bihar is also there, Mr. Vinod Singh, and District Election Officer, ADO, and all party leaders is invited. For what purposes? They booth management, voter list, and EVM machines, and everything is. If any problem is with their BLO, and you see, Election Commission has very clear about the BLOs. Earlier, the political parties were doing this job, but the Election Commission long back has refused to any party people can do this job for voter list or voter ID card. So now our booth level officer BLOs are doing this. They are the officials, and they are having the door to door checking submission of the form. If they cannot submit, any illiterate person is there, they can fill it and they the counterfeit to them. And otherwise, they are also responsible for the voter slip also to door when the election is start.
Okay, so Ashwin Khadial, you respond. Since you asked about what happens to the illiterate people, you have Dr. Amin specifying there are scores of officials on the ground. You have got election commission officials from the center who are there, and you've got your party karyakartas who are going to help out.
Yeah, one thing needed. All party who they have objection, they cannot come to the media. They can assist to our BLO. Every party has to assist the BLOs. They can do it easily, and that will run very smoothly. Unnecessarily, they are coming in the media. They want their leadership. They are speaking wrong things against the election commission, but they are not helping to the election commission.
Okay, Ashwin Khadial, rather than scaremonger, you can actually make the process smoother, says Dr. Amin.
See, now this duty vests in a constitutional body. Now we do understand that expectations are only there from the Congress party because the Congress party has delivered and will continue to deliver, and not the Bharatiya Janata Party. We all know that. We know that we'll be doing this, we'll be ensuring it. The Bharatiya Janata Party would have no role to play into it because they have no expertise into it. They have no experience into it. The only experience they have is undermining the constitution, undermining the democracy, which is of the people, for the people, by the people. The BJP turns it into of the BJP, for the BJP, by the BJP. Now the question here is the confusion, the amount of instability that is there.
If there is any confusion, you send your workers and get the confusion resolved. That's what Dr. Amin is saying.
Now
you stand there, you assist the BLO. You catch them by the neck and you say, इस आदमी का ये कार्ड नहीं बना है, बनाओ, मैं साइन करके दे रहा हूँ अपने letterhead पे.
That's what I'm telling you. Of course, we definitely will do our job. The Bharatiya Janata Party, we know, can't be expected of this. But this was the duty of the Election Commission of India. Now the question is, it is given advertisement, and after you withdraw it, you make a U-turn on it. Please, I did not interrupt you. Please hear me out. When you give an advertisement, you have put some thought into it. A decision has been made. Why make a U-turn on that?
Okay, we're out of time right now, but this is a very complex process with very specific questions that were asked and answered. As far as the timing is concerned, I'll just give you some food for thought. Even if this was to happen next year, even if it was not before the Bihar elections, there's another set of at least 5 elections happening in states and union territories. The same holds true for the next year as well. When do you actually plan to carry out a revision of this kind? Does the country not deserve to have a sanitized, proper and legitimate voters list? I leave it to you. Thanks very much, gentlemen, for joining me in your interest.
खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
पार्टी हॉर्न्स भी होने चाहिए, मंगा लेती हूँ।